looked and it was 4 o'clock, and I'm like, ooh, I gotta get on here. Well, anybody who wants to be a mod who's been in here for a while can be a mod. Just let me know. I am anticipating more attacks. So if you do see anybody asking weird questions, attacking, whatever, just report them, delete their comment, don't even engage them. Just report, delete, and just get them out. Because they really are disruptive and there's no need for that. Let's see. Today we're going to go over a little bit of the Kolbrin, over the flood part of it. Hey Kim and JD, yeah, we're armed. We are ready for whatever comes. And Daniel's here. I'm going to make you a mod too, Dan. Just to get these people out of here. And Deb, well, Deb's still kind of recuperating. I'm not going to put that pressure on her. Let's see. So also, you know that solar thing going on, that security breach? There's actually a big thing with that. Okay, look at these. Hey Eagles. I took the thumbs up down because I got a huge attack and I've got these people who are coming up trying to disrupt, and they go through all my videos and just downvote them for, because they don't like it. They don't like me. They're coming up against me. So, and I also found that it's not necessarily the government. It's like these religious organizations that are coming up against me. So I'm not surprised, but they don't act very Christian, do they? Okay. Hey, Oystein. Good to see you. It's Oystein. Did I say it wrong? Oystein? I don't know. I'm sorry I'm saying it wrong. Okay, I said it right. Good. I hate it when I don't say, pronounce your words or mine. When I'm like saying names and stuff. Hey, Aaron. Hey, love life, all you can. Good to see you back. Don't let the haters keep you away from this because it is important stuff. Let's see. The things that are in Genesis after this, it's basically talking about Shem and the 12 tribes, how they come to be and things like that. And I don't know. I'm going to maybe go back over the flood part because I'm going to read a little bit out of the Kolbrin Bible. Now that came from the Celts and their priesthood, but that came over into Ireland and it was like saved there, and the Glastonbury Abbey and the priests there were holding on to it. And what happened was the king came against it and he was trying to destroy them all. Well, people were able to get that out of there and they saved a lot of them, but a lot of them got destroyed too. So this is just, it's more in the line of Japheth and being in that he is Adamic, but he's not in the 12 tribes of Shem. That makes sense. So there are other races. I mean, there are other like nations within the Adamic tribe. I mean, you can look at Esau as a good example. I don't know. There are groups, I think I mean, it still is a little weird to me because it was just this realization like, wait a minute, I thought everybody was involved here, but it just involves the family, the Shem, and then it moves up, all through the book with Christ being born. So it's basically from umbilical cord to umbilical cord to umbilical cord until he is born. Let's see. See, this doesn't really say what people were doing, during the flood, and that's the big thing. And that's what I want to, like these other types of books really describe it. I mean, you have to really discern it, but it is a historical account. And I feel so unprepared today. I'm sorry. Just time got away. Okay, so I'm going to go over just, we're going to go back over chapter 6 again because it's leading up to the flood. So 6:1, and it came to pass when men, this is the Adamites, and so we're talking about Shem, Ham, and Japheth, all those men begin, well, that's before that, but everybody up to that point. So everybody was basically included into families, but the one that survived and went on was basically Shem being chosen for the bloodline. I know, it's weird, I know. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them. So this is from Adam from the very beginning in the garden when he got out. And don't forget that you also have Cain's lineage in there. Cain's lineage, the Bible talks about it briefly, but Cain isn't involved with Adam in his lineage. So he has a separate lineage, but the Bible talks about that so that you are aware. These are the tares that are going up against God's people. Specifically, there is that enmity that basically, butting heads. I mean, this is Satan's son, and this is God's children, So even now, today, look at the Great Divide. Look at the things that are going on in our country just so fast. I mean, it hit with this oppression coming in, and now what do we have? We have this choice. Under almost duress of taking this vaccine. Oh, I was going to tell you about that too. The vaccine thing. It is very parallel to the time when Satan is here. Remember when I told you in a couple videos back that I didn't take the vaccine and I waited 2 months. 2 months that all these people were fighting with me and really against me. And it wasn't that, it was like psychological type of abuse, where, you're a terrible person for not doing this. And then you're going to have the other people in the world those for it and those against it. And it is really like the mark of the beast. And this is why some of the reason, what part of the reason why you're going to see these scuffles and things like that happening pretty soon, starting around springtime, that they're going to clash. And it will look like war, but it won't be war yet. It's just that time of it. People angry and upset with each other. You go my way or no way, or you go God's way. So anyway, this time between there, I saw 2 months. Now think of that. Just what does two mean? Okay, two means division or witness. And this is the 2.5 months also in the end time. When Satan gets here, he has 2.5 months. So you have this 2 months that I had to decide, am I going to take this or not? And I know that we have more time even after this, is because I get my book out after that. So whatever the consequence of taking that, it had no consequence to me at the time, but it is the forcing of it. If you are on any kind of like under government, anything, and this would include businesses and things like that, all these high-tech companies and everything like that, well, enforce it, otherwise you won't be able to work there. Okay, so there's not going to be like any kind of being thrown in prison because you didn't take it, and you just won't be able to live. I mean, unless you have prepared, and there is a way for you to stay out of that. And this is one of the reasons why they want to get out small businesses. Look how they're not able to open up, so they can't keep in business. They want total control over all these businesses and everything else. See, these little people, they can say, well, we don't have to report this or that, and really work with the people. But all these large corporations are all in one mind. They're all in the economy. They're all wanting this new world order. So this is kind of the shuffle, and the things that we're seeing right now is that the end of the once was economy, where there was businesses that could open up and, in a free market. With that, going back to the 2 months, and I was really thinking about why would it just be 2 months? There's that time when the woman goes into the wilderness, and at that time, God's children are being prepped to come back down into Babylon. And at that time, they're going to be ready. But you're going to get even more of an issue with everybody against you. It won't be this half and half type thing. It'll be the whole world. So I think at this time, God is preparing you mentally. As far as what I saw, the vaccine per se, it didn't hurt me. But it was the fact that I had to take it in order for me to be able to continue on to write my book. Now, if I would have prepared, I could have easily, I should have written my book earlier, but I have. It's just the fact that it is a very hard book to write. I mean, I've written 2 other books. I've got them published. I've written a lot of novels, but this is different. And so as far as that goes, I should have had more faith in God and providing. So it really strikes me home very hard to like have to do this. I don't have to do it, but then I would have to rely even further on God. And how it turns out, I don't know. But what I did see is by taking it, you know, you're part of the system back again. But if not, you're kind of out there and the whole world will end up taking this. There'll be the fights and things like that, but you know what? It is just what it is, and it's just so parallel to what is coming. So you're going to have to make preparations. I mean, there's that security breach that just happened. That is a malware that goes into government, to the military, to chain supplies. This is another, and these people, it's so hard to explain, but they are the biggest security for everybody. And there was one person who did this. But the thing is, the Chinese pay these big tech industrial CEOs to hire their people. $1 million. And this is what's happening. It's not just China, it's also Russia and other places like that to form this new world order. But with this, you can expect to see a crackdown. This company is also a part of that dominion, the voter fraud. So we're seeing that coming in and taking over the internet and this blockchain type of event. This could be one of the reasons for the famine. There is a famine coming, and it is before Satan. So how they're going to fix that, I think it leads to the crash of the dollar. I mean, these things are really big. I mean, I can't even tell you how big of a benchmark that we've hit. And we're moving in very fast, but still I've got that time to write that book. And what I'm thinking is, if I can get this out now, submit it, get it out, then I won't have to take that. But still, the money itself will be all involved in it too. So are they going to go with a type of Bitcoin type thing, which they have been talking about? We're in the pinnacle point of change. So prepare yourself. But I want to stress, they're not going to put you in jail. They're not going to treat you, beat you up, or anything like that. Well, the war thing, the pre-war thing, but these are groups, butting heads. But the average kind of person, it's going to be your family. They're going to be like, why aren't you taking the vaccine? There's nothing wrong with it. And you've got that staunch belief, whether you do or you don't, type of things. So, and that is the same thing that's going to happen at the end. So God is waking up his people. He's telling everybody, hey, it's over the ideals. You see what I mean? It is more of something that, what do you believe in? And, it should make you stronger. You stand up. But, you know, it's all going to lead to that war, the civil war. And, you know, the economy is going to be up and down. I mean, there are just things coming that are just chaotic. And but just remember, they're not going to put you in jail. They're not going to do any, they're just going to force you out of pure necessity to get along. And I know it sucks in so many ways, but it's a prelude to what is coming. And this next year is going to be really rough, really, really rough. Um, but then it has its base too. I mean, they can only go to a certain level at this point. It just, you know, all hell does not break loose until after that earthquake. I wish I had more. I'm praying on it, and you know, um, there really is no safe havens. There's no real place to hide from this. It will affect the whole world. But you will have those that are fighting against it and those who don't. And at the end, when the war does start, this is the cause from all, like, this break in the chain of supply, this break in the economy, and they're trying to balance it. Well, at that time, when that earthquake goes off, there's nothing to salvage. There is no way to get back. I mean, it's the huge step into here we go. And people will have lost everything. God's people will be okay. This is for those who aren't God's people. They will have lost everything and have nothing else to lose. And that's when the war begins. It's just like that one shot in the dark. Boom. And, you know, do we have, you know, a longer period? Things are going by really quickly now. So I would prepare, definitely. Prepare your heart and your mind spiritually. That's the biggest. It'll be against you spiritually. With Satan, this oppression that's here, that's Satan's spirit coming down, crushing. But you, and it crushing and dividing. It's that squeeze. Who's going to go here? Who's going to go there? And that war is basically to settle the two with that charter. Well, are you going to be happy with this or that? It won't matter because it's going to be done anyway. And you'll have basic rights, but it's not going to be ever the same again. You are looking at the dissolving of the society, and you will not recognize it pretty soon. It will be gone, and it will never ever come back, even with that civil war. So all I can tell you is you have to raise up above it. And with that vaccine, stand for what you believe in. God will take care of you, okay? And as far as me, did I take it or didn't I take it? I'm not really sure, you know, at this point. But I stood my ground. You know, I'm not going to take it. But it was the people that were around me, you know, that really got to me. And not only that, but the government kind of breathing down my neck saying, you know, you got to take this, and, you know, you will be able to get all the things you have back if you take this vaccine. See what I mean? So we're really going to have to, like, figure this out and really talk about it and pray, because this is, you know, if you're able to live outside of, you know, this new world order that's coming up, then do it. Because this is when they start forcing that through It's not really forcing, but it is, you know. When you see that, it's time to get out. It's time to go where you need to go. My time is right before the earthquake, so we're kind of living in those times right now. This next year is going to be crazy. And I wish I could, you know, say anything better. But I don't know. I wish I knew more about it, but you know, as these times change, I get more clarity with it. That's why it's really super important that I'm able to be on here and just update, because these things coming in, you know, means certain things for how fast things are coming in. Um, I did see a time when um, communication is down. Like I'm not able to communicate with people. I don't know if it's just me, the circumstance, or it's for a lot of people. We'll find this stuff out more as we get, because if this does affect the communication, it would be because they're trying to stop the flow of information. See what I mean? Stop the flow of information of anything that it is against what they're trying to build up. And when the war does hit, there is no communication at whatsoever. And all I can tell you is, you know, this is the time of learning, building up before all that happens. Even before that so hits, it's gonna be so surreal that, you know, everything that you look around has changed. And that's how you need to just, you know, don't hang on to your material things. It doesn't matter. You'll be rewarded later on. It doesn't matter. Focus on the big picture. Try not to drown in that fear that is just polluting everything. But you do have to think about it and, you know, ask God, what do I need to do? What is the things that I need to do to prepare? You know, as far as me, I think I've prepared with food and things like that, and I'm okay as far as that, because that was the biggest thing that I saw, was I didn't prepare for the famine. So I'm prepared now with that, but now it's this vaccine, which really is the prelude to the mark of the beast. And I don't know, I didn't see anything bad with the vaccine as far as that is, like, you know, hurting people or anything like that. But then again, you got to think this is the prelude to what's coming. Does it change you? I don't know. And this is something that we really need to talk about. But don't go in at fear-based, just because it's really hard to think when, you know, you're just like in fear. You know, it's is why this channel is here, to be like, hey, we got this. We got our minds together and God above us, and we're going to work through it. Oh, I don't know. There's just so many things that have happened that have, like, come to my mind, and trying to fit the pieces together, and they're almost all together. Because I started out as a 6-year-old little girl who saw all these things, and Jesus saying, write this down, tell my people, not tell the world per se, but tell my people. This is the last warning. So I know for a fact the people that are here are the ones to hear it. And it's just, I don't know. I mean, today it just really all hit. Like, really how close we are. Let's see. Yeah, if you guys, like for me, I'm stocking up on things that I personally need and things that I think that other people may need, and food, of course. You don't have to go all crazy on it, though. God will provide as much as you need. I just wish I knew exactly what those vaccines do. The only thing that I really do know it is like the mark of the beast, like saying, like consenting to it. And so when the mark of the beast does come, if you had taken that before, it would be like, well, we had to do this before and you volunteered. It's like the same thing. Well, in order for me to be in this society and I want all my things back, I'm going to take it. So the answer as far as how long the woman in the wilderness will be, it's 1/2. And you'll be in society 2 months. 2 months. I was hoping that, it would be like at the end, but no, it's that 2 month time. Satan will be, setting up, and at that time, it'll be like, you have to worship me by the time we get down there. The first 2.5 months are more setting up, getting the peace, gathering the world together. Satan basically just giving people everything they want. And who's going to say no, after everything that happens? And they have no idea that's the fake. And so just know that pressure that you're going to have now will be 100 times worse. So, it's toughen up. That's what it comes down. Toughen up. What do you believe? It is crazy how fast things are flying through, though. Let's see. Well, it doesn't look like any trolls are in here today. It's like heavily armed. Okay, so let's just... How long have I been talking? I'm going to read a little bit from the Kolbrin. Sorry, guys. It's just been a very weird day. Okay. This is, let's see. This is in the book of creation. And in this part, chapter 3, it's the destruction and recreation. So what is going on here is basically this celestial object coming over. Was it that thing that helped in the catapult? I don't know, but it is a dead star. Okay, so it is known, and the story comes down from ancient times, that there was not one creation but two creations and a recreation. So this has been translated and transliterated, so just take it with a grain of salt. It is a fact known to the wise that the earth was utterly destroyed once, then reborn on a second wheel of creation. So we're talking about this earth age. At the time of the great destruction of earth, God caused a dragon from out of heaven to come and encompass her about. The dragon was frightful to behold. It lashed its tail, it breathed out fire and hot coals, and a great catastrophe was inflicted upon mankind. The body of the dragon was wreathed in a bright light, and beneath on the belly was a ruddy hued glow, while behind it trailed a flowing tail of smoke. I listened to this description because this is really what that celestial body looks like. It spewed out cinders and hot stones, and its breath was foul and stenchful, poisoning the nostrils of men. Its passage caused great thunderings and lightnings to rend the thick, darkened sky, all heaven and earth being made hot. The seas were loosed from their cradles and rose up, pouring across the land. There was an awful shrilling trumpet. Remember, I was telling you that it comes with a horrible sound, which outpoured even the howling of the unleashed winds. And what I had seen was this riding on these black, dark clouds, sitting on it, coming in, you know, with lightning and thunder and this shrill that just break your eardrums. You won't miss it. Men, stricken with terror, went mad at the awful sight in the heavens. They were loosed from their senses and dashed about, crazed, not knowing what they did. The breath was sucked from their bodies, and they were burnt with a strange ash. And there is stuff that'll be falling down with it, but it's primarily over the place that it crosses. It will stretch out, but things will get cleared up pretty close after. Then it passed, leaving earth enwrapped with a dark and glowing mantle, which was rudely lit up inside. The bowels of the earth were torn open in great withering upheavals, and a howling whirlwind rent the mountains apart. The wrath of the sky monster was loosed in the heavens. It lashed about in flaming fury, roaring like 1,000 thunders. It poured down fiery destruction amid a welter of thick black blood. So awesome was the fearful aspected thing that the memory mercifully departed from men. His thoughts were smoothed under a cloud of forgetfulness. And that's what I saw too, as far as this thing passing over. It affects your memory. And it's like you do forget about it, but it comes so quickly and leaves, and the earth is shaken. There is, I mean, you won't miss it, you know. But as far as a complete destruction, no. And you know, this is right when Satan comes in, fixing the world's problems. The earth vomited forth great gusts of foul wind from awful mouths, opening up the midst of the land. And the earth, I mean, I was telling you, the earthquake associated with it, I mean, it's up and down and up and down. Oh, my cat just attacked me. And I'm just, you know, if you're directly under it, but that ripple effect, anywhere on the earth, you're gonna feel it, you know. That I was just right underneath it, but that ripple effect and that earthquake will be felt, and that's with Satan's coming in. The evil breath bit at the throat before it drove men mad and killed them. Those who did not die in this manner were smothered under a cloud of red dust and ash, and that's what it is. Let's see. Or were swallowed by the yawning mouths of the earth, or crushing beneath crashing rocks. So, yeah, you're going to see the earth open and close, tilting back and forth until we're almost upside down. As that thing leaves, it just pushes it down a little bit more. The sky monster was joined by another, which swallowed the tail of the one going before, but the two could not be seen at once. The sky monster reigned and raged above the earth, doing battle to possess it, but the many-bladed sword of God cut them in pieces, and their falling bodies enlarged the land of the sea. In this manner, the first earth, was destroyed by calamity, descending from out of the skies. The vaults of heaven had opened to bring forth monsters more fearful than any that ever haunted the uneasy dreams of men. Men and their dwelling places were gone. Only sky boulders and red earth remained. This is the catable. And the sky boulders and red earth remained where once they were, but amid all the desolation, a few survived, for man is not easily destroyed. See, this is the part where it's like, there wasn't anybody on earth. So that's what you have to really look at. I'm going to go into the affliction of God, the destroyer, where it talks about this destruction again. This comes from the scroll of Kurabal Hackathurim, who wrote, "The forebears of all the nations of men were once one people, and they were the elect of God, who delivered all the earth over to them, all the people, the beasts of the field, the creatures of the wasteland, and the things grow. They dwelt through long ages in lands of peace and plenty. There were some who struggled harder, were more disciplined, because their fathers had crossed the great dark void with their desires, returned Godward, and they were called the children of God." It kind of makes me think, was, as far as Satan taking a third of God's children away, that could be talking about that. Their country was undulating and forested. It was fertile, having many rivers and marshes. There were great mountains to the east, and the west and the north was a vast stony plain. Then came a day when all things became still and apprehensive, for God caused a sign to appear in the heavens, so that men should know the earth would be afflicted, and the sign was a strange star. Kitty. The star grew and waxed brightness, and was awesome to behold. It was put forth horns and sang, being unlike any other ever seen. So when this thing approaches, you're not really going to be able to see it until it is upon you. So men, seeing it, said among themselves, "Surely this is God appearing in the heavens above us." The star was not God, though it was directed by his design, but the people had not the wisdom to understand. Then God manifested himself in the heavens. His voice was as the roll of thunders, and he was clothed with smoke and fire. He carried lightnings in his hand, and his breath, falling upon the earth, brought forth brimstone and embers. His eye was a black void, and his mouth an abyss containing the winds of destruction. He encircled the whole of the heavens, bearing upon his a black robe adorned with stars. This, when you read kind of this stuff, I mean, you really have to just, I'm looking more over as far as the description of this thing. Such was the likeness and manifestation of God in those days. Awesome was his countenance, terrible his voice of wrath. The sun and the moon hid themselves in fear, and there was a heavy darkness over the face of the earth. So, I mean, that kind of brings me back to this this black covering, this ash-like stuff that is spiritual, but definitely felt. And April and I were talking today, and we somehow got over to the sow. And I was telling her, you know, when I was coming down, back down, Lurch took me through into the downstairs, basically the layers of the golf part. The last layer, that part was thick and black, and Lurch was just like, look, you need to just stay strong and get through as quickly as you can. And I almost got stuck in there. It was painful. It almost left me paralyzed, and it left me weak. This reminds me of that that torture. If I wouldn't have got out of there, I would have been stuck. There's nothing that could have helped me except for God himself. And this stuff, I believe that's the ash, that the lowest layer, Tartarus, being unleashed, that those evil angels being released out of that. Because when you're in there, you are bound, you're tortured. And this is what it talks about in the 5th, is that, you know, men will seek death but not find it. And that bite is like the serpent, or like the scorpion. And it's like torturous. It really is to your spirit. It is very, very torturous. And it, you know, if it is within your spirit, of course you won't be able to die. You see what I mean? So that's what that reminds me of. God passed through the space of the heavens above with a mighty roar and a loud trumpeting. Then came the grim, dead silence and black, red lit twilight of doom. Great fires and smoke rose up from the ground, and men gasped for air. The land was rent asunder and swept clean by a mighty deluge of waters. A hole opened up in the middle of the land. The waters entered, and it sank beneath the seas. Oh, shoot. It's just talking about as far... let's see. The waters were raged about. The Northland tilted and turned over on its side. But it's like even there, God at that point was... The earth is going to tilt. You will physically, with your eyes, see it. Then again, the tumult and clamor ceased, and it was silent. In the quiet stillness, madness broke out among men. Frenzy and shouting filled the air. They fell upon one another in senseless, wanton bloodshed. Neither did they spare women or child, for they knew not what they did. They ran unseen, dashing themselves to destruction. They fled to the caves and were buried, and taking refuge in trees while they were hung. There was rape, murder, and violence of every kind. The deluge of the waters swept back, and the land was purged clean. Rain beat down unceasingly, and there were great winds. The surging waters overwhelmed the land, and the man, his flocks, and his gardens, and all of his work ceased to exist. Some of the people were saved upon the mountainsides and upon the flotsam, but they were scattered far apart from the face of the earth. They fought for survival in the lands of uncouth people. Amid coldness, they survived in caves and sheltered places. Now, this is just talking about the destructions, but I find that the similarity of what God has used, what they talk about, this destroyer, is in there amongst it, and I think he uses it for judgment, for change, and being the last call, the 6th trump. You just won't be able to miss that. It's just going to be apparent for those who have eyes to see and understand it. And when you see that happening, it's like, well, here comes the Antichrist. And that's your sign. And it's like, you cannot miss it, you know. But the whole world is going to go after that, thinking in their own flesh, in trauma, and trying to figure out what's going on. You know, they are thinking back, are things going to get back to normal like how we have now, which is not even normal, not even close. But let's say 2 years back of being somewhat normal. They'll long for that. And so when that does come, it is just be devastating. Rocked. The earth almost convulsing. The ground opening and closing. Thunder, lightning bolts. I mean, what this thing brings with it is just that tail that has all that ash, debris stuff that's the only thing that is left after it's gone to know. And people just act. It does something to the brain. I mean, it even had done something a little bit to my brain, and I'm like, wait. And I was right under it. I mean, so naturally, but the people that I spoke to in that area and saw how people reacted, they were just, it like scrambled their brains so they couldn't think right. I mean, if that's what, you know, Satan has to do to get followers, then, you know, it's just, it's weird, I know, guys, but there's going to be a lot of changes, and you have to know that nothing is going to feel real anymore. Like, there just is no chance of getting back. God's coming in to cleanse the temple and get rid of all that, and it's all going to come into one big cluster in Jerusalem right there. So it'll be easy to clean up. I don't know, man. There's just so much going on right now. Let's see. Mine said I kind of had a weird dream like that the other night. Weird darkness, spooky. Yeah, with the sew thing, it wasn't like it was dark that you could like see, but you could feel it. So I think that, you know, you guys will know that it's close, because I was waiting for it. And just ask God, open my spiritual eyes so I can see this. And He will, because He wants you prepared. You know, He's not going to leave you in the dark like that. Because there's some crazy things coming, guys. I can't. Crazy stuff. Let's see. Not to mention what is happening with China. It sounds like they really want to invade our country soon. Yeah. And I think they had everything to do with what happened with that software and the security of our nation. I mean, it's bad. It really is bad. But I think because it has, that company has something to do with Dominion too, and those voting machines, it is all there to get total control, rather than having like one main person doing the security thing, this one company to get complete dominion over the people themselves who are actually going to be on the internet. And I would assume that you would probably have to have like iris scan or face scan. They already have that facial recognition. You know, thumbprint. I mean, on my iPad, I have both. I can either use the facial or my thumb, or just, type it in. But that stuff is coming. God is preparing us, and this is the biggest example of it, of this vaccine. So it's not per se the vaccine, it's that conditioning. It is that complete oppression that will be happening in the end time. You won't be forced to take the mark of the beast. Okay? It's not forced. It's not forced on you, though. It's not forced. But you're going to have the whole world against you. That's why you got to get a backbone. You have to know what you believe and be strong. And that's that alone, in the hand of God, right in your life, getting you moving you through the difficult times. And this time coming, as far as the famine and stuff, it affects more of the inner city people, the people in the big cities. And also, when the other famine, as far as in the war, the Civil War, it's mainly in the cities. If you prepare now, you'll be okay. That's all it is. And it's like how Joseph was, Pharaoh had that dream, and he's like, well, you need to prepare, because you got 7 years of plenty and then 7 years of famine. And so at right now, it's kind of like that, because we're going to have this time of up and down, famine, maybe not, type thing, depending on where you're at. Prepare physically, but also in the end time, when you're not going to be able to buy out of the stores or anything like that, when they set up the New World Order with Satan here, you'll have your food there too. So you won't need them. But in the end time, it's a famine of hearing the truth. But, you got to remember, if you can't buy stuff, just prepare, Let's see. Echoing Daniel's question, how far apart is the war and earthquake in relation to the deadly wound to the beast head? Okay. The war, okay. So the earthquake will hit. And then you've got about a month and a half, the war. And it's only going to last maybe 2 months or so. And then into December, it'll be over in the charter. Then we're moving into spring. And it's in the springtime, probably the beginning of spring, where you're going to have the sow. And then a month after the sow, about that time, you're going to have the crossing. So it's boom, 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 boom. It happens very quickly. And people, they're just going to be knocked around, not knowing what's happening. And people will rely on you. They really will, to give them that peace. But they're going to go with Satan. So just remember that they just don't know. They don't, and God is using you, your body, your spirit, everything, because He knows you can get through it. So yeah, that timeline is just boom, 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 and then after that celestial crossing, which is the 6th trump, you have that 2.5 months where it is all being built up, the peace, people begin to get their things back, and once that's almost done, He says, all right, in order to keep your things and remain with our allegiance, you're gonna have to worship me because I'm God, type thing. and he will be welcomed. They'll usher him in. And so, the church, those 5 churches will be in there with them. So it will be very hard for people to resist, as it is now with this vaccine type thing. You won't be able to really function if you don't. You won't be able to fly. But it really, at this point, there's nothing left that we can lose, because we already know what's coming. There is nothing really to fight for this earth, for anything as far as that goes. It's all going away. And just remember that your family, they just don't know any better. They don't know. And that really is the hardest part. It's your family that just goes against you. Yeah, he will be everybody's God, and the whole world will come together and be this kumbaya. I'd rather have the whole world against me than sell out for eternity of misery and regret. I look at long-term eternity. Dang it. I wish this would stay up. I look at long-term eternity with God versus a sellout to Satan. Yeah, and just thinking that, and just knowing that what is basically the ultimate test. Do you have enough oil to get through, or are you going to burn out? And you have to go back to find out what really does the scripture say about this, And that's what, basically the 144,000, that's what their problem is. They don't have enough oil, but they're sealed. It's like you can't hurt them, but you can spiritually kill them. The coming collapse of civilization preparatory to the return of Christ. And that's what we're seeing. So if it is this coming year, I think it would be better, just because I want to get over this, but it is going to be painful. That's the hard part. Not just knowing what's coming, and just, I'm ready. I feel like I'm ready. I and all these people, as far as the 7,000, it could even be part of the 144,000. I feel that the 7,000 are already pretty much set, and they'll just keep growing during this time up until the 6th Trump. But that one lady that I saw it could have been one of the 144,000 or 7,000, but the point was, he's not going to act until everybody is ready and sealed. And he's looking out for you, honestly. It's just, don't let your flesh dictate to you what you do. Look at the bigger picture. And as far as this, if this happens this next year, so we'll have one more Christmas. But the thing of that is there's not going to be really anything to be able to celebrate Christmas with. But people will try. And that so will be coming down in its 3rd stage at that point. So it'll be probably that dark winter that Biden was trying to say, that dark winter. There's just so much coming, guys. We just gotta, no fear, just This is the time of building up and seeing through it. You know, you have the eyes to see through it. So it's like, don't let fear get all caught up in it. Just be like, that's what a soldier is. They're battle ready. And, you know, it is kind of cool to think, hey, you know, I was chosen for this, you know, this point in all of history, you know, and so you guys were too, you know, so, you know, if you weren't, you wouldn't be here. I mean, you wouldn't be able to see this, you know, and understand. That's that's the amazing part. I mean, people, am I one or not? Well, if you are, if you understand the Word of God and your purpose, yeah. If you know what's coming as far as this Antichrist being Christ, saying he is Christ and he isn't, and knowing what you need to do, you know, this might be part of the problem as far as the 144,000. Maybe they knowing that, but just not having enough things to do. I got somebody knocking on the door. I gotta get going, guys, but I'll be back tomorrow. Take care, God bless, and I will see you tomorrow for sure, unless they knock me off. But you know what? Actually, I've gained subscribers. It kind of goes up, down, up, down, up, down. So it is kind of a funny thing. So you guys take care, God bless, and I will see you tomorrow.